This video is actually about making friends, and I know it's like pretty trivial, but when you have like outsider ideas kind of, or like you believe, even eating organic and non-GMO is kind of like not the norm. So whenever you start to have these like ideas and stuff, you need to find a way to connect and make friends with people, especially since lately people have just been kind of like assuming that I've always had friends or I've always been good at connecting. They're always like, I can't be as confident as you, or I can't do this as you, or something, which is crazy because it's like, I shouldn't get offended. Obviously I shouldn't be offended, but it's like when you see someone comment on someone that's really fit and you know that they've worked their butt off, and someone's commenting and saying like, oh, you've got good genetics, or you've always been like that, or this just comes naturally to you, and they're like, no, screw you, I've worked my butt off to get to where I am. And so that's kind of how I feel about having friends, which I know is like ridiculous, but whenever I got pregnant, I kind of really had to start from square one, because I just had totally different ideas than most people, and there aren't a lot of people here like in the small town that I live in with these ideas. So that's that. It's also really important that you like connect with people. So if people think like, oh, I don't need friends, I can sit at home, be alone, not a big deal, you shouldn't. Connecting is part of like our DNA. Everybody wants to feel connected, and there's a bunch of studies and a bunch of research done, like if you don't have friends, then you're not going to live long as people that do have friends. So I want to get into the 5 tips with you guys, because I didn't want this video to be very long at all, because I could talk about this forever. I think socializing and being friends with people is so freaking important, literally like so important. So I also want to mention really quick that I want to attribute like my making friends success almost 99 to 100% to becoming a Beachbody coach, simply because of the fact that the core, like one of the core principles of Beachbody coaching is just building relationships with people and seeing how, like, if you can help them, if you can't, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the point. It's just, you need to be friends, and becoming a coach really helped me, like, have a reason to get out there. So let's get into the tips. Very first tip is to read this book. It's the most fantastic book in the whole world. It's called How to Start a Conversation and Make Friends by Don Gabor. It's probably backwards, but it's actually fantastic, and I've read it like 4 or 5 times. It's funny because when I first started reading it, I never finished the end, which was, how to end the conversation, and so I would get into conversations with people, and my ending would be super awkward. And to go along with this, like, this is kind of like studying how to become friends, and so Caleb and I kind of did our own studying. So when we're finished with a conversation that the other one might have been close or near to like listening, we'll be like, hey, like, what did I say wrong, or did they take me the right way, or this or that, and we'll just like explain how they might have thought they were talking, you know what I mean, just giving like a innocent bystander's opinions. That way we can both grow, because we both know it's super important to be friends with people, especially wanting to homeschool Rio. It is super necessary for homeschool moms to get out there and socialize, and so your child can become socialized as well. The second tip is to listen to Charisma on Command. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this guy. I'll try and find a link to him, but he's absolutely fantastic, and the videos are maybe less than 10 minutes long. I just recently found him, but I really love him because he's always talking about like different gestures that people make that make them be taken a certain way, and then he talks about how like to make a joke that isn't being mean, and so it's just really basic things that you don't even think about, but it's how some people are 100% more likable and not rude at the same time. And if you feel like you have something that you're really lacking in one area, you can always go to him and like build on that area, if that makes sense. And the third one is, in order to gain confidence to go out and actually use these tips in real life, practice using them on Facebook. So go into the go into the search bar at the very top of the like Facebook thing and type in things that you're interested in. So if you see veganism, or for me it'd be veganism. So if I typed in veganism at the top, I could see whoever liked the vegan page, and I could go to those likes, and I could start a conversation with those people based on that mutual interest. Or I could scroll down even further and look for groups where people around me are already in the group, and so that's like an easier way to connect. So you could always just hop in the group and then you start participating and using those things that you've learned and then actually add them, so that way you're starting to see their posts and you can develop like a really, really genuine relationship on Facebook, which is, everybody thinks it's crazy, ridiculous, blah, 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 but I really have some amazing, amazing friends on Facebook, and it's fantastic, too, because they're moms, so they understand, you know, if we've been talking back and forth for 30 minutes, like, nonstop, long messages, blah, 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 and then I all of a sudden randomly don't respond, I'm probably taking care of my kid. He just woke up from his nap. Not a big deal. They're not going to judge you and, like, think you're mean and, like, triple message you, you know, stuff like that. So that's important. The fourth tip is to go places where people are that you want to meet. So if you want to meet someone that is into, like, reading or philosophy or, you know, stuff like that, go to the library. If you like people that listen to music and are into that, go to, Jackson Avenue. If you want to, like, be friends with people that get tattoos and are into that kind of stuff, go to a tattoo parlor, get a piercing maybe, and then add those people on Facebook, talk to them, hang out for a little while extra, and use the confidence and the ideas that you've gotten from this book and Charisma on Command to make friends with those people there. For me, I take my son to the park all the time. Sometimes there are people there, and sometimes there aren't. And if there aren't people there, obviously it's not a big deal, because then I'm just playing with my kid at the park. And if there are people there, then I make sure, like, Rio naturally, like, runs towards those kids, so that makes things easier. But I'll make sure to spark up a conversation with the mom, you know, how old's your kid, this and that. And it's always easy to have a prop, which is technically Rio. But, I mean, he's benefiting from the situation as well, so, like, don't take that the wrong way. But it is definitely easier, you know, if you're going somewhere, carry around a book, and then maybe ask them in the middle, you know, have you read this book? Like, do you like this book? Or you guys could start a conversation about the book if they've also read it. That makes things easier. And then the very last tip is to be comfortable with silence. And I know that's, like, awkward for everyone, but it's extra awkward when you are sitting with someone and, you know, they are just constantly nonstop talking into your ear, mainly to fill the silence. You want to be interested and not interesting. So you don't want to constantly pummel them with you and everything you have to do. You want to hear what they have to say, or you're not really going to be able to connect with them. You know, you want to hear their, like, touch points. You know, this in the book, he calls them, like, red buttons or something. So something that they bring up that they seem like they light up about, ask them about that, of course. And then, what was the other thing that I wrote down? Oh yeah, if you run out of 100% everything to say, ask them what they do for fun. Asking someone where they work is actually pretty boring because they might not like their job, and so it might not bring up good topics of conversation. If you ask them what they do for fun, you guys can, like, dive into that, because obviously they're going to have good, positive things about it because they do it for fun. You know what I mean? And then there was one last thing I was trying to think of. Okay, if you are like me and you have all these, like, crazy ideas, I really don't think they're crazy, but if they're out there ideas, you know, we cloth diaper, we are organic, non-GMO, vegan most of the time, don't think that you're going to find someone that clicks with you on every single point the second you go out and start trying to make friends. Go to different places and connect based on that thing. So we go to the library and we'll connect based on the fact that I have children, you have children, we're talking about books. Maybe we start talking about homeschooling, you know, stuff like that. Sometimes we don't talk about homeschooling, maybe their kid just wants, like, they're simply there to read a book. You know, stuff, it's just, you can be friends just based on one avenue. It's not a big deal. So it might not get bigger than that, but at least you've gotten your confidence up and you've started to make friends in just that one area. So I hope this really helps you guys, and I hope some of you can take these tips and, like, apply them to your life, use them. Definitely read this book, How to Start a Conversation and Make Friends. Make sure you make it to the end, or you're going to have a lot of awkward endings like I have had up until recently, because I realized, like, you know, I was reading, I was like, I'm really good at this, and then I got to the end and I was like, I'm not good at this, I need to end the conversation. So that's, like, a dumb extra tip. Just make sure you finish the whole book. That's pretty much all. Give us a thumbs up if it's information you wanted to hear, and if you did not give a shit about it, put your thumbs down. That's all, guys. If you have any questions or comments, obviously leave them below or send me a message, and that's all. Oh, one last thing. Stop assuming that people have something you want or don't have. Don't assume that they naturally got it. They probably worked their ass off to get it. So go work your ass off and get the same stuff. That's all. Bye, guys.